Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
The last BHS stores have closed for the final time today after an 88-year presence on the high street. The closures came after the failure to find a buyer for the retailer, which went into administration in March. Its previous owners, Dominic Chappell and Sir Philip Green, have been accused of mismanaging the company and its pension fund. Our business correspondent Joe Lynham reports.
It's closing time for the last time at this store in St Albans. It's been here for 44 years. British home stores have been on UK high streets since 1928. Earlier, bargain hunters piled in as the doors were unlocked for the last time. Some local shoppers had a very strong connection with the retailer.
I've come specially this morning, I don't know why, just to say how sad I am that it's closing. Sorry, BHS, I'm really sorry you're going, and lots of other people in this town are too.
It's a sad day to see an established firm like BHS go to the wall.
Does it matter that the store is closing down?
Yes, it does. It really does. It's part of the fabric of the high street.
This is what the last few hours of a closing store looks like. The shelves are being packed up. Everything has been marked down to next to nothing. Some things are completely gone. And if you look over there, you'll see empty shelves, and there you'll see boxes of old DVDs for £1. BHS endured years of underinvestment, even before Sir Philip Green bought the chain in 2000. He is one of Britain's most famous, flamboyant, and some say ostentatious retailers. He paid himself well, but failed to turn around BHS before selling it on for £1 to the twice bankrupt Dominic Chappell, a man without any experience in retail. The collapse of BHS could have been avoided, according to MPs who probed Sir Philip, who at times appeared tetchy.
Could you, sir, do you mind not looking at me like that all the time? It's really disturbing.
The vast majority of BHS stores were shut down weeks ago. Some will have new owners on busy high streets. Some may never open again.
BHS were traditionally very large stores, and really retailers aren't looking to fill those types of premises anymore. I think what will happen is there'll be some obvious contenders like Primark and Zara who are thriving on the high street. I think actually what you'll see is some out-of-town retailers starting to come and experiment with the high street offer, maybe like IKEA or Decathlon, and then I think the rest of them are going to have to be divided up.
This afternoon, staff at 22 BHS stores up and down the country, including this one in Glasgow, bid goodbye to their jobs for good.
Very sad. It's 27 years.
Now thousands head off to an uncertain future as an 88-year history ends.
Joe Lynham, who's live in St Albans this evening. Joe, what lies ahead for the row over the hole in the BHS pension fund?
Well, Sir Philip Green is in talks with the pensions regulator about finding the correct amount of money so that every single BHS employee gets the full pension entitlement that they had expected before the company collapsed. That is going to take months rather than weeks. Also, the final amount that will be paid will probably be considerably less than the notional £600 million which is often used. That £600 million is the figure that an insurance company would have to set aside to take on the entire liability from scratch of BHS pension scheme. In reality, the figure that will be paid will be considerably less than that, and that means that quite a few people, especially on the Work and Pensions Committee and some staff, will be very displeased.
Joe Lynham in St Albans, thank you.
Now, for 88 years, they were a mainstay of the high street. Now, the last remaining BHS stores have closed their doors for good. The demise of the company has affected 11,000 jobs and thousands more pensions. Former owner Sir Philip Green has borne the brunt of public anger. But in the stores themselves, it was a scene of empty shelves and the hunt for a final bargain, as Simeon Brown reports.
It's a dark day for Britain's high street, as one of its biggest names said goodbye after 88 years. This branch in Walthamstow is one of the last to close its doors.
So inside it's surprisingly busy, and it feels like there's more people than there is products. Everything here has been stripped down. Everything here is on sale, even the display casing, and you do get a sense that it's the end of an era.
The closure of BHS means the loss of 11,000 jobs, including the jobs of these two.
At first, it was devastating. When we first heard, it was absolutely devastating in the news.
You know, everybody was sort of, their minds were thinking, you could tell what their minds are working out.
But for these staff, the story is not one of tragedy, but mismanagement. And they lay the blame at one man's feet.
Philip Green mainly because he's not put any money into it.
I don't think he's entitled to be called, sir, what he's done. Put 11,000 people out of a job. I mean, what good's he done?
Especially when he's got the money and he's got the lifestyle that he's got, you know.
I mean,
is he bothered about us? No.
I mean, he's got 3 yachts or boats, but you can only sail on one.
Under the leadership of Sir Philip Green and later Dominic Chappell, the company grew a deficit on the staff pension scheme to over £500 million, meaning staff who have paid in face uncertainty. Now Sir Philip Green is facing another trip to Parliament as MPs prepare a new investigation into his management.
We're starting a new select committee inquiry. We'll be continuing to look at the effects of his stewardship on BHS. We're extending that to Arcadia because some of the Arcadia companies look as though they're going the same way as BHS.
So where is Sir Philip Green as the ship he captained for over a decade prepares to sink? On board his £100 million yacht. Today he's not answering questions, but he has said he was sad and sorry about the collapse and promised to help sort the pension deficit, although he's yet to commit to anything specific. Dominic Chappell is the man Philip Green sold BHS to just last year. He's rejected calls to return the £1 million he made from the company. In the eyes of some staff here, neither man appears to be going down with the ship. It's at branches like this one, where the decisions of its former owners will be felt. The brand itself will live on as an internet company, and could yet return. But for now, BHS joins the list of iconic names to leave our high street.
We're talking about this story that we had on Sky News, I think, on Saturday. That Philip Green is saying that he will plug this pensions back hole, but only if the investigation into his handling of the pension pot is dropped.
Right. He's going to plug it fully, all of it, the entire thing. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. You tell me.
No,
right?
he's not. He's not going to plug the entire thing. I mean, it's a bit of a scandal, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of necessary to have a pension, but it's not really necessary to have more than one yacht. And I think he's got 3, so he could probably sell at least 2 of them and you know, put that towards the pension pot. It's a bit of a scandal. For our show on BBC, we went in and we rebranded his store BHS Yacht Club the other day and put a big sign up over the front of the store, which a lot of the employees thought was quite funny, actually. But I think they're beyond anger at this point. I just think they feel completely exasperated. And you would.
And you would do, and it's all very well him trying to do it, but even the fact he's trying to do a kind of horse trading deal at this late stage, you know, it's this sort of attitude, you know, I'll bung a third of the money this way if you stop investigating me, is kind of the reason we're in this mess to begin with. He decided to sell BHS for £1 to a bankrupt man who had never had any retail experience whatsoever. So he bought a company, he sold it to for £1 to a bankrupt. Meanwhile, he's taken 400 million quid out for himself and his wife. So this kind of cavalier approach to let's do a deal is at which we are now seeing here, you know, I'll give you a third of the pension money back if you stop investigating me. The world shouldn't work like that. Capitalism shouldn't work like that. Just because he is a sort of poster child for ugly capitalism, it doesn't mean that we should say, well, all right, you give us some money, give these poor people some money and we'll let you off for getting into this mess. He's revelled in his status as a retail genius. He was knighted for services to retail. He loves the attention. He loves being this figure. And the problem, as your reporter discovered when he tried to dare to ask him a question in a public place when he's on one of his yachts, he doesn't want to know. He doesn't like being criticised. And so this type of behaviour is so typical of him.
Still, whenever we get the collapse of high street icons like BHS, and there have been any number in years previous, we get this kind of, you know, hand-wringing and head-scratching. What can be done? What can be done? But shouldn't we expect it? I mean, Sir Philip Green didn't get 4 yachts, you know, by, you know, being a compassionate capitalist.
No, but I mean, that's, I guess, modern capitalism, isn't it? You can't live in Monaco and award your wife the biggest dividend in history and, you know, see yourself as some kind of bastion of the, you know, the English establishment and the retail sector when you're not. You're kind of parasitic in your approach to capitalism, from my perspective.
And also, it's right that, you know, Woolworths closed down, Blockbuster closed down. These stores are kind of caught up by the flurry of modernity. People don't hire videos or DVDs anymore. They don't go to an all-round shop like Woolworths. But there's plenty of institutions. BHS turned over a lot of cash. There's an opportunity to put it in the hands of someone who would say, OK, how do we live in the modern world? M&S kind of functions in the modern world. Supermarkets are making that transition. It's not impossible. It's hard. It's really hard. But it's not going to happen if you're only interested in taking money out and then you chuck it to the nearest bloke with a quid who has no experience of turning retail businesses around.